Q1057 and 1035, the Capital Region's classic rock station. Excited that Bert Kreischer is coming back to Albany. Sunday, April 3rd, Palace Theater. Tickets available now while they last. And on the phone, Bert Kreischer. How are you, man?
I am doing absolutely fantastic.
I am happy to hear that. You know, I think a lot of times people think comedians are just laughing all the time. But you have good days and bad days, right?
You know, it's so funny you say that. I just started a happiness journal to track my good days and my bad days and quantify what makes me happy and what makes me unhappy. And then focus on the things that make me happy. And then highlight them so that I know that, like, if I wake up and I'm hungover, I know that it doesn't matter, that if I get on the treadmill and I get in the sauna and I polar plunge, after all that, I'll be in a good mood.
Well, it's good to keep track because sometimes we forget the things that make us happy, you know?
Yeah, you do. Like waking up early and making my daughter's breakfast makes me very happy. But the waking up part makes me unhappy. So I just go, well, if I wake up and spend time with my daughters, then I get happiness.
Who gave you this advice?
It was crazy because sometimes I was doing things and they were making me unhappy, and I couldn't figure out why I was continuing to do them. And I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try to track this and write down in a journal and find out the things that make me happy. And I got this daily journal. And it was funny, just even sitting down and kind of like setting out a goal for the month was like fun for me. And so in January, my goal was to learn how to surf. And so I was like, every time I'm near a beach, I should get surf lessons. And I did it, and I learned how to surf. And I had a blast doing it. I had one of the greatest days of my life. And I was like, hey, more stuff like that.
Now, when you hit the road, like you're coming through the Capital Region, when you come into a certain region, how much time do you get to spend in a given city? Or is it just come in, do the show, and move on?
It depends. Usually we drive in that night. Like we'll leave a show around midnight, and we'll drive through the night, and we'll sleep on the bus, and we'll land in the city, and we'll wake up. We'll go play disc golf usually somewhere, or and go get food, and maybe come back, take a nap, and then do a show, hit the road, same thing, next city.
Disc golf, man, I hear that's a big thing. I got a couple of buddies who are obsessed with that now.
Oh, yeah, man, I love it. I played in college, and so I had a foundation of playing. I played a bunch, and then we picked it. We saw some discs on the road, and we said, hey, we should go play disc golf. We were in Texas. I think we were in Austin. And we went and played, and I forgot how much I loved it. And it was a great way to stay active. It's a great way to walk 3 miles, and
Right.
get 3 miles under your belt. If you're looking to get 10,000 steps, disc golf will put a dent in that. And it's a core workout. I wouldn't know if workout's the exact right word, but and you can drink beers and smoke weed while you do it.
I'm sure we have disc golf places here in the Capital Region, but right now they're buried under ice and snow. I wouldn't know where they might be, but maybe by April 3rd, you'll be good to go. I don't know.
Let me tell you, they are playing in the snow. We played in the snow the other day, and where were we? We were in where were we? I think we were in Oklahoma City, and we went up and played in the snow, and it was a blast.
We've got Bert Kreischer on the phone getting ready for the show at the Palace Theater in Albany. Sunday, April 3rd, it's the Berty Boy Relapse Tour. Take me back, though, before you were a professional comedian. Who was the funniest non-celebrity in your life? Like maybe a kid in school, or who was it that made you laugh?
There was a buddy of mine in college, Eddie Fernandez, who was absolutely hilarious, and we moved out to L.A. together. Even in L.A., he was one of the funniest dudes, but it was one of those funnies that I don't know. There was a pride to it. Like he wasn't going to get on stage. Even when he got on stage one time, and when he did, what he did was printed 200 headshots on paper, and as he went on stage, he tripped and threw them in the air, and they landed on everyone's tables. And he was like, great, pass those around, guys, if you could, thanks. And he was like, that's my time, and he just walked off stage. And it was so funny, but it was, I don't know. He was one of those guys to this day that cracks me up.
So your life today, obviously much different than when you were a teenager. What would the 18-year-old you say about you today?
I think about that nonstop. If you told the 18-year-old teenager that he was going to have a job where he could drink whenever he wanted and smoke weed and he'd have his own line of flip-flops, and he'd have his own tour bus. He'd been like, am I a rock star? And you're like, nope, you're fat. And he's like, am I Elvis? Nope. Do I work for the CIA? And then when I told him he would be happily married to a 52-year-old woman, he'd be like, ugh, ugh. Why aren't we single? If we have all this cool stuff in our life, why aren't we single? And I'd be like, no. The cool stuff doesn't come without the chick. The chick's the thing that gets you the cool stuff. Oh, that's a horrible trade out.
One of the things I like most about your comedy, anytime I've seen you, whether it's on YouTube or a special or whatever it is your craft of storytelling. And that doesn't come naturally to everyone. Did it come naturally to you?
I think in a sense, yes. I remember learning how to tell a story, and I think there's progressions of learning how to tell a story, but All Boys Catholic High School was a huge help in that, because I would sit at lunch, and when you're at an All Boys Catholic High School, your only currency is humor. I mean, there's no women there. So if you could make other dudes laugh, then that was your currency. And so I would come into lunch, sit down, and I would have a story from the weekend, or have a story from the day, or have a story to tell, and I would work on the story as I walked into the cafeteria. And then when I got to Florida State, I realized I was actually funny, and that I could recount whatever happened at the party the night before the next morning, and the way I told it was just a little bit better than everyone else's. But it wasn't until I started doing podcasts that I really found myself to be a storyteller. I told the machine to Rogan on a podcast, and he was like, dude, this is where you need to be going. You need to be telling stories. Like, your jokes are okay, but they're just jokes. Anyone can tell them. He was like, these stories you have, they're like, this is where you need to be. And so that's when I started leaning into storytelling and really figuring out how to tell a story and how to plant a seed so you could harvest it at the end of the story so that your story had a strong finish, and how to arc a story, how to create characters in stories. I mean, to this day, it's like, it's funny, but it's like solving a riddle or untangling a necklace. Like, you really have fun with it, and then once you get it, and then you got it good, oh, that's the sweet spot.
Do you think the world of podcasting gave you the time to tell a story? Is that what kind of was the breakthrough, where you didn't have, I got to do these jokes in 5 minutes of my set and I'm out? Podcasting's a little more chill, conversational. Yeah, I mean, when I first started doing Rogan, I mean, still to this day, the last one I did was 5.5 hours. But you just have time. So you could kind of start a story, and then your buddies would punch it up, and then you'd keep going, and you just meander through it, and you were, we were high, and so it's like the greatest. And then we started doing these storytelling rooms where you just tell stories, and it was so much fun. And then I just was like, well, that's all I'm really good at, is telling a story. I'm an okay joke writer, but there's guys way better than me that think in that format. I think in the story format. The story you tell that everybody knows now, The Machine. From what I understand, that's turning into a movie. Does that blow your mind? It's so funny. I think it does. I think when we went over to Serbia to shoot it, and that first week I was overwhelmed at that this is really happening. I kept waiting for them to go, oh, hey, guys, this is just a joke. We're going home. and then you get in the thick of it, and it's not until you're done or you're in the middle of something. Like, we were in the middle, and I was watching Jimmy Tatro, who plays a younger version of me, introduce himself in the movie as Bert. And he was like, hey, my name's Bert. I don't really go to class that much. And that's the dumbest line in the world. I started crying, and I was like, oh, this is me. I lived this life. I said that. I actually said, my name's Bert. I don't go to class that much, a lot. So it was crazy. I'd catch myself watching takes of scenes and go, when I met Igor, and I was like, I really did meet this gangster this exact way. It was crazy. I got to tell you, Bert, we're so looking forward to the show at the Palace Theater in Albany. It's on Sunday, April 3rd. Tickets available while they last, and they won't last. The stories you tell, the specials you've done, you make me and my girlfriend just crack up to a point where I got to hide my face because it's all distorted from laughing. It's just... So thank you for making us laugh and feel good. Just thank you for all those good times. That means the world to me. You forget when you're a comic, because you are
caught up in writing jokes and telling stories to sell tickets and promote on Instagram so that you can sell tickets and pay for your kid to go to college. You forget at the end of the day, comedy does serve a purpose, and it is because people may be going through a rough spot and they go to a show and for a split second they completely forget about that and they're pulled out of that moment that they don't want into a moment that they do want, and that is the service that comedy is. And so that means a great deal that you say that to me. Thank you.
Well, thank you for what you do, because we need what you do. So we're looking forward to the show. It is the Berty Boy Relapse Tour coming to the Palace Theater in Albany, Sunday, April 3rd. Bert Kreischer, we wish you nothing but success.